Okay, here we are at the Wisconsin Community Media Conference, and I'm with your name.
Jim Knightwright. I'm chair of the Midwest region of the Alliance for Community Media.
And for those who don't know about Alliance for Community Media, what is it?
It's an organization of community media centers, public education and government access centers, and community radio stations. And it's a national organization in the Midwest region of the states of from Illinois to the Dakotas, and from North Dakota down to Missouri.
And why should someone join or participate and support community media?
Community media is an important part of the communication ecology of a community, and that's important for all sorts of things in terms of the quality of life of a community. If people don't hear stories about where they live, they'll fill in that gap with whatever they want. Community media, the idea is for PEG channels, for public education and government access channels, is it's communication space that is set aside for community to use. When a cable company comes into a community, they're using the community's rights and ways to make money. And it's the community's, I'd say, imperative or their due diligence to suggest to ask the cable company to set aside communication space for the community, for the people to use. And this is a process that goes back to the longer than the Bill of Rights and longer than the U.S. Constitution. It goes back into the Articles of Confederation and the Northwest Ordinance, which is what was used to set up Wisconsin and Ohio and Michigan and these upper Midwest states. The idea that when the land was set up, you would set aside space in that land for the government and education and parks for the people to use. And this is an extension of that, is that with this communication space, we're setting aside the space. So when a developer goes into a community and puts in a subdivision, the developer is required to set aside space for a school or space for parks and space for the roads and the utilities and municipal services to be able to get through. This is the same thing as when a cable company puts in these lines to sell you internet, that they need to set aside some space so that the community can use. And the community media centers are important because they're that space for speech. And community media centers go just a step beyond that, and because they're also it's a place where people know to go for their information. It's a space. It's a place people go to gather to make programming for their community. It's a place and process. So space for speech and a place and process are really the key points of community media.